Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the newest, fastest, rising, most talked about YouTube show, live feed, and podcast ever. Top Rope Wrestling Talk. As you can see, if you're watching us live or eventually on YouTube, we're missing a few hosts. Grandma Wendy got stuck at an all-night bingo marathon and couldn't make it in. Brucey got pretty much shut down by Cyber9 Systems. We're gonna miss him. We're gonna miss them. We're doing this for y'all. We hope we don't suck because we got a live audience on Facebook. We've been waiting for this all week. So let's get it started. Thankfully, I had somebody show up to join me, and you probably know him by now. He's the self-admitted walking contradiction. He is the man that just oozes creative machismo all day, every day.
Dripping.
So damn good. The man is evil. Evil Evan. Where's that sound? And it went away. There it is. And by now, unless you're living under a rock, you know me. I've been on every damn show you've seen, even the other shows on Fox 10 Productions. I am the 16-time champ, the jack of all trades, the master of absolutely none, the South Philly Sycho, Dom.
Hey, damn, that's a cold ass honky.
I really am, y'all. And we had a crazy week of wrestling. A lot of wrestling. Some good, some bad, some kind of ugly. Not gonna lie. I feel like I have to play this now. But we're gonna start off on Saturday of last week and Impact's Slammiversary, because Evan and I both watched it. I believe we both enjoyed the hell out of it. I thought personally it was great. It was a pretty great show. And honestly, it's the only show that we actually got debuting wrestlers from the whole Black Wednesday scenario in WWE. Nobody in AEW, nobody anywhere else, just Slammiversary, done. So I'm going to kick it over to Evil Evan first. Give me what you thought was like your match of the night for Slammiversary.
Match of the night, I'm going to go with the Knockouts title. I thought Jordynne Grace and Deonna Purrazzo put on one hell of a clinic. The multiple submission attempts, Jordynne Grace using her strength and powering out of all of them. These women brought it. They're showing that their women's division is, second to none. And compared to what AEW got, with, I don't want to jump the gun, but with their promotion they have planned, I'm excited for women's wrestling right now. I think most companies are killing it, but that was definitely my highlight of the night was that Knockouts match. I want to see what they do with Deonna now, the Virtuosa, as champ.
Yes. I'm not even trying to suck up to you or anything. That was going to be my pick too. I loved that Knockouts titles match. Title match. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe it's just, missing people. My mouth doesn't want to work. But Purrazzo and Grace put on a clinic, back and forth, catch as catch can, and the Virtuoso pulling it out was just amazing. I was so happy for her. She's, a fellow tri-stater like myself, so I was kind of pulling for her to begin with. And I kind of pictured this becoming a feud between Grace and her, and then found out that Jordan's got to go get some shoulder surgery. So, we might not see her for a while.
But that just makes it that much great of a story when she does return, when she has to return. And they can play into that, coming off of rehabbing a shoulder injury, and Deonna known to rip apart her shoulder or two with her, all her submissions, that could work beneficial to them. Let's see where they go. Let's see what they got right now. They have, what's her name, Kylie Ray, is the next one in line.
Yes, Smiley
Another great,
Kylie.
another great pickup to the recent women's division. Like I said, a strong division they got going.
They
Another high. No, go over it.
I was gonna say they really do, and that's another reason they've been hinting at it, and I hope they do it. They want to bring back the Knockouts tag team titles, and that
Yeah.
would be cool too. They actually have a few tag teams already with like Havoc and Nevaeh, and then they put together like Kira Hogan and Tasha Steelz, and they work real well together. And they've got a couple other people. I would love to see that too, because they were the first promotion to actually have women's tag team championships, and then they just kind of disappeared as the roster thinned out. But now they've got such a deep women's division, they could do it again, and that shit is hot, and they kind of created it. So it would be cool to see them bring that back. Now that I got that out of the way, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, to go off of what you're saying with those women's belts. Let's not forget that Impact has an amazing relationship with AAA, and so we could have international matchups. They're now talking, letting some of these guys work New Japan dates. So if we can get Bushiroad, throw maybe some Stardom, talent, women's belt with Impact, working their deals around, that could be some good matchups there. That could be some great, interesting scenarios.
Yeah, it really would. I'd love to see all of that like this. Yes, all this.
All of it.
I got to be honest. Like Slammiversary, there really wasn't that I can remember a bad match. Like maybe Tommy Dreamer versus Moose, but just the story alone and that kind of thing was good enough for me. I
would say my down point would be the women's gauntlet match, only because it felt clunky at sometimes. Some of these women weren't maybe familiar with each other. The twerking spot kind of slowed it down for me. I'm not a fan of what's her name, Rob's girl, Bass. I don't even know her name. She's a joke to me now. Yeah, that's Rob Van Dam's twerking girl. What's her name?
Oh, Katie. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Katie Forbes. There you go.
Not a big fan of Katie. Not a huge fan.
She's in the ring, it's not going to be good. I'm not a 16-year-old little boy looking for ass. I can find that in plenty of plethora of locations. I don't need it in the ring anymore. It's overkill. It's not even like she's winning with it. It's just there for ass reasons, and that was probably my down point of the night. But other than that, Slammiversary top to bottom. They put on one hell of a show, way better than anything that we had on the next night on Sunday with that horror show.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that and skip through it as fast as possible in a minute. I do like some of the comments, like our resident hobo clown says, Bruce is making MJF get a bath.
Yeah.
That's why he can't be here tonight. True story.
He's bathing him.
And of course, Felipe, in regards to Impact, said they really did a great job on Saturday and Tuesday as well. Yes, we're gonna get to that too, because that was great. Even the episode, the follow up to it was awesome. And Hobo Clown says Kylie is great. Okay, if you think so. Felipe said match of the night for him was North versus Shamrock and Sammy. Okay, that was a good match. And I gotta touch on it because I'm sure we're gonna swing back to it. The Motor City Machine Guns being the surprise tag team was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Like I had figured Gallows and Anderson in that match all the way, and then when I heard that music, I was like, "Whoa!" Because I honestly thought, and I thought I had read that Chris Sabin had retired. Like he had so many injuries, he was too banged up, he couldn't go anymore. He retired from wrestling. And now they're back. They're actually on the roster. We're not going to get to what they did afterwards yet because we're going to quickly move ahead, and we're going to try to get to what Brian accurately calls Extreme Rules shit show. Now I'll be honest, I did not watch this. Evil Evan did, and it was on his birthday. And again, even though I said happy belated birthday, I'm going to let you run with this. Give me whatever your assessment was of this horror show.
Just one quick thought when it comes to the Motor City Machine Gun.
Go ahead.
Am I the only one surprised or shocked that Alex Shelley, we saw her recently with NXT and Kushida teamed up with the Time Splitters, And they didn't offer him a contract, or what? It was such a surprise. I thought for sure.
No, I was too.
Yeah, so when I saw the Machine Guns come out, I was like, oh shit, I guess that Kushida was just a one-off. I thought maybe they're gonna run with that eventually,
right?
Because Kushida shit anyways right now.
Because there's not a whole huge a whole huge program for Kushida right now.
Yeah.
And getting the time splitters in the NXT tag team division would have been a perfect fit. It would have been amazing with the guys that they have. Yeah. There could have been so many great matchups, like fantasy booking and that kind of stuff. But they were just like, okay, thanks, Alex, go away.
Yeah.
And obviously, you can still do it because you saw it at Slammiversary. So I don't know why they didn't sign him when they had the chance. And it's probably going to come back to bite him in the ass, to be honest.
Exactly. Well, when we get to Tuesday, then definitely we saw how they still got it. But yeah, no, horror show. Definitely lived up to its name. It was not good. I don't want to be the guy who's constantly being negative towards the WWE. I am trying to see things positive, but it was my birthday, so it was about me. I had my kid, my oldest son came back from college. He was busy, and I had my little ones. We're all picking out on burgers, and I put it on the big TV. I usually watch it off on my own, kind of, spare them. But I put it on, and we're watching it, and the looks on these guys' faces, they were like, "This is wrestling, Dad." Like,
what is this?
Yeah.
Why are we watching this?
The Seth Rollins match, the eyeball, and then the throwing up after, and then the horrible effects.
By the way,
I thought for sure they were going CGI. I thought they were going to do
somewhere,
something special. But
if I can jump in for 1 second, somewhere Darren Drozdov is going to sue.
Yeah.
So that's my gimmick, Seth. You stole that shit.
I just had Beyond the Mat Vince McMahon echoing in my head, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, he's gonna puke! Oh!
I get it. I get what they were going for. When you see something so vile and disgusting, you just can't help but vomit. But Seth Rollins, the Messiah, the badass who's trying to preach to us about how he's going to rip out eyes and make Dominic his bitch.
The needed sacrifice for the greater good, yada, yada, yada.
And then here he is tossing cookies like a 13-year-old little boy. I watched like him Stand By Me or something,
Right.
And I just did not like that match.
I got 3 words for you, Seth. Messiahs don't puke.
Yeah. Put that on a shirt. Kirby, you still watching? We need that one. But
merch maker.
The actual swamp fight. I don't like these cinematics. I get what they're going for. I get what they're trying, but
every pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Every single one.
It was like a bad Devil's Rejects, something. I don't even know what it was. They had Braun like tied in a chain, and then Alexa's sister Abigail, but she's just a vision, and then he's seeing himself, and then I don't know. I don't get it.
Oh yeah. Even in the comments, we're getting a lot of that. Like even Jose said, Braun versus Bray actually surprised me because it was sort of decent. When sort of decent is the surprise, it's bad. And Matt and Dustin are watching. Hey guys, what's happening? And Felipe says, I'm gonna bring this up. Fuck this. I know I'm blind. I'm stupid. Sorry. The horror show was one of the worst TV shows from WWE in years. There was cool stuff like Drew versus Dolph, but what? A seagull does not make summer.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. We need to put that on a shirt. A seagull does not make summer.
It's like if they had given me a swamp. We're in a swamp, and these guys were actually like smashing each other into trees or trying to throw them into a lake. Sort of what AEW gives us when they give us the Falls Count Anywhere. They're using the environment, but it's still the formula of a match. It's still the basic what a match is, but we're just somewhere wild. Then we're using props, and maybe you smash them and throw them into an alligator, almost bite them, and you.
I totally agree. Because like the bulk of the cinematic matches that they do don't have a whole lot of wrestling involved. Outside of like Edge and Orton, most of them are very just spliced together, a lot of punching, a lot of, little spots here and there, special effects, that kind of shit. But there's not a lot of wrestling. So if you're going to have a wrestling match at a wrestling pay-per-view, maybe you should wrestle.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm no genius. I just think that's, like 101 type shit.
It's like if you had given me that basic storyline of like Braun, Bray is bringing back, Braun's past, and he has him in a chain, and you put it on the network as some kind of 20-minute horror kayfabe movie, that would have been amazing, because that's what it was. It was like I said, I'm trying to watch a movie, not a match.
Right.
And because you're trying to do both, I got neither. Like it was a half-ass attempt at a horror flick, a half-ass attempt at a match, and
neither one was good.
Yeah.
I love Jose. And where was the Swamp Thing? That's a valid question, considering go back to Backlash with the Prophets and the Viking Raiders, and they had the Star Wars dumpster monster. How do you not break out Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I'm sure the intellectual properties are for sale, right? They need some money.
Right? DC's going to sue at this point? I think they're worried about some other things, a little bit more important on the food chain. You could have done some kind of spoof. If you can spoof the trash monster from Star Wars, you could have done Swamp Thing. That's almost as easy. And unless you got something else for Extreme Rules.
No, that's about it. The tag team match was decent. I'll give them that.
And that's what I was going to go to. I will say the only thing that bothers me about Extreme Rules is it seems like every year Shinsuke Nakamura wins the title at Extreme Rules. Like last year he won the Intercontinental title. Year before that he won the U.S. title. This year he wins the tag titles with Cesaro. And I never watched, but I love Shinsuke Nakamura. So every time he pulls the title, I'm like, oh man, don't make me watch this garbage just to see somebody I love pull a championship.
It's almost like they blow it with him at Mania, and then it takes a few weeks of the fan backlash for them to realize, like, oh shit, we gotta do something.
Extreme Rules is coming. Don't worry. Yeah. Shinsuke Nakamura, Mr. Extreme Rules. Shawn Michaels was Mr. WrestleMania. Shinsuke is Mr. Extreme Rules. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Now, there wasn't a whole...
Yeah, the tables match was nice. Good match.
I'll be honest. I didn't watch all of Raw. I think I might have dozed off, if I want to be brutally honest. But there wasn't a whole lot going on there, really. There was a lot of title confusion, like who's the women's champion, and they're going to settle that next week because it's technically Asuka, but Sasha still has the belt, and they're going to have a match. And there's a lot of confusion over the U.S. title because MVP says he's the champ and he's got a belt, but Apollo Crews is hurt and he's got his belt, and they haven't done shit with that yet. So there was a lot of that going on, and in the midst, we did get something that was relatively cool, and that was adding Shelton Benjamin to MVP and Bobby Lashley, and having that backstage segment where you see the three of them talking to Ron Simmons, which made everybody immediately, including me, think, holy shit, new nation. Like, why else would they just break Ron Simmons out in the middle of an outbreak and drag him in to be on Raw other than to insinuate that, like, these guys are the second coming? And shortly after that, Shelton Benjamin pulled the 24/7 title from R-Truth. So that was a cool segment. I enjoyed that. I think that's going to be, big and get bigger moving forward. But outside of that, there was not much to really talk about on Raw, to be honest.
I would like to see Shelton Benjamin, now that they're trying to strap him with that 24 belt and make this the Hurt Company or the Hurt Locker or whatever.
The Hurting business.
They're trying to make them like some kind of, like a legit stable. I'd like to see him bring a legitimacy to that belt. Quit with the roll-ups. Quit with the backstage. They haven't seen it in a while because of the COVID and shit, but we won't have the chasing around anymore. I'd like to see him actually defend it like a real title and maybe put a little extremeness to it, put a little badassness to it.
I mean, I know
make it sort of their FTW style,
I know it drives me nuts, and I know that Bruce Pritchard has talked about making these shows, more about chit chat and less about in-ring action. But when you have these guys, standing around with nothing to do, and you have a 24/7 title, why not actually have matches? I mean, they even did that with the hardcore title, and it was defended 24/7. They've done it with the championship in the past and kind of suspended the rules for the match, let somebody fight. You know, do a little bit more of that, so you have a little bit less of this, and maybe your ratings will actually go up because they just continue to plummet. And I'm like, hey guys, get rid of Paul Heyman. Great idea. If he was doing so bad, what is this? You know? Oh, Max showed up. Hey man, what's happening? He's gotta love my Sixers jersey. Oh, and Felipe says, I don't want to see Big Show versus Randy Orton. Never, ever, 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 ever again. You know what, man? I think I fell asleep before that match, to be totally honest. I didn't even, there was all that lead up and even all that leading into it. I was just like, meh. And
if you didn't fall asleep before that match, you definitely would have fallen asleep during that match.
I think I heard the very beginning of the Big Show's music and I passed out. It was like, whoa! So now,
the only other interesting highlight I would say for Raw was the return of Ali, which now debunks or what happens to the hacker storyline? The big blue, I see the truth, and I'm here to spoil.
I have no clue, dude. I really don't. Like they kind of killed that angle like months back, and I don't know what they're gonna do. They act like it never happened. It was like hacker. What hacker?
He came out with the hoodie the one time. Everybody thought it was CM Punk, and then we kind of haven't heard from him in a while.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I could have swore they were going to use that again.
Like Valentine's, right? With the Sonya Deville.
Yeah. It was. They used it right before WrestleMania, and then pretty much never again. Yeah. And I could have swore they were going to use it somewhere in this Jeff Hardy and Sheamus storyline, like to show you what really happened.
The truth of the car crash.
With the car accident, yes. Yeah. And that never happened. And then now they just sit around and act like, wait, hacker? What hacker? We never had. Did we have a hacker? Bruce. Yeah. Was there a hacker?
The blue lights or nothing aren't popping up no more. Nothing.
Well, yeah, it's just weird. I don't know what they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do anything with it. They're just kind of like, man, work before Mania. We're good. We're done.
What hacker?
What hacker? I'm sorry. Yes.
Didn't exist in their eyes.
Mum's the word, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tuesday was definitely a better day in wrestling in my book because we not only had Impact, but even if you watched AEW Dark, you got to see basically Ricky Starks jump in the ring and help Brian Cage beat up Darby Allin and Robert Anthony, who he had fought. And you saw them kind of come together like Starks, Cage, and Taz. You saw it again on Dynamite, but that was a cool moment, especially for Dark. You don't expect that kind of stuff. So when it popped up, it was like, oh, look at this. Like I was excited for that. The shows are always pretty decent. I watch them. I can't help it. I like, I like to see this. I like to see the guys in action. Even some of the guys they bring into Job are like pretty damn entertaining. I mean,
yeah.
And it's the only time you see Pineapple Pete in a ring,
Yeah. That's why you never know which one of these is actually going to click with the fans, perhaps, and get a good little buzz behind them and come back as a regular.
Yeah, exactly. They had Diamante debut on Dynamite, but the last few weeks she's been fighting on Dark. And so you got to see her in a ring, and you got to understand, like, this is, they're looking at her. They're thinking maybe we can do something with her. And obviously they are now. But it was cool. It's cool to see that, like, build before you get to, like, Dynamite. And then when these people come on, you feel like you have that, like, inside information because you watched, Like, oh, you don't know about Ricky Starks and Cage? Haha, I did. No shock here. But, yeah, but, of course, the big thing that night was Impact Wrestling because they had so much going on in that follow-up show from Slammiversary. So they really – they took the momentum they got from Saturday and they really just kind of pushed it forward. Now it's a train momentum. They were just pushing it from Saturday. Now it's going. I mean, we had the Machine Guns come back to take on the North, which was a great match. and
A historical title reign.
and the end, yes, the end of a historical title reign, because the North were a little over a year as Impact Tag Team Champions. No more. Congratulations, Motor City Machine Guns, your second night back, Tag Team Champions again. I was extremely excited for him. I know there were some people that were upset, like, "Oh, they just got here. What about this?" What? I don't care. Like you know, every historic run has to end somewhere. And that seemed like the perfect time to end it for the North, because they had rolled over everybody in Impact. But Motor City Machine Guns weren't in Impact until Saturday. So, of course, when they come in, they can, you know, catch them by. And it wasn't like they dominated. They got the quick, you know, traditional, oh, here's a roll-up, 1, 2, 3. You know, so we'll get this match again. We might get it back and forth, you know, while the Good Brothers get situated and, you know, things start to come together. I'm excited for it. We also had more women's tag team wrestling, which I thought was great. We had the Virtuoso try to pop the shoulder out of Smiley Kylie, which was fucking awesome. But the biggest moment of the night for me was after Moose's Impact title defense against Fallah Bahh. Because immediately following Moose's celebrating, and who should pop up behind him? None other than the man that pissed Brucey off, that made Evan probably happier going into his birthday than Extreme Rules ever could.
Yeah.
And that man is EC3. And he just...
I refused to give up hope. I kept saying, he's coming. He's coming.
He just kept saying it. And Brucey and I were like, nope, AEW, nope, AEW, nope, AEW. And lo and behold, there he was.
Yep, sexy mustache and all.
Right. I loved the warning at the beginning, like he did on Instagram. I loved that he popped up and dropped Moose, you know, because there was that little moment after one of Moose's title defenses where EC3's old music played, and he's looking around, and you're like, oh, Impact's just fucking with you. Well, Impact was fucking with you a little bit, because they did nothing with Aces and Eights, which was shocking. They did...
Hold us right there.
You know, they did... they did nothing with the surprise entrant in this 4-way match. You know, just basically, oh, here's Rich Swann. They fucked with you a lot, but then they gave you something like, oh, the Machine Guns are back. Oh, it's now a 5-way, and here comes Eric Young. It's like, okay, I'm good. You know, and I also like that Eddie Edwards is kind of going back to, you know, defending the title weekly, putting out open challenges. I think it was Trey who called him out first and said yes. I know Eric Young wanted it, and I was like, do it, because those two crazy sons of bitches getting together in a match is just going to be chaos, and that's what I like.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about that. I'm excited that Impact actually has a champion who wants to show up. I still can't believe Tessa, between, you know, the stuff leading up to it, and then she refused to send the title back unless they paid her $150,000.
A lot of money.
And they had another title made just to give to Eddie Edwards that night. It's just, oh fuck, like Tessa Blanchard from myself, and probably the evil one next to me. What the hell are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
Like this, you know, there are a lot of times where you even go back to Killer Cross and Impact, and they were having problems, and I was like, well, you know, Cross has probably deserved it a little more, or maybe they, you know, screwed him over here and there. Impact's done it in the past. I always try to defend the wrestler when I can. Right. Tessa Blanchard, there's no way I can defend you. You were in a position where you were walking into a title match, and you had people left, right, and center calling you a racist, ignorant bitch. And they ran with you anyway, and they gave you the title happily. And I don't think you defended it once. And then of course, yes, COVID comes and you go home. Okay, great. Then they ask you if you're going to show up, even though your contract is up, and you say yes, because you figure, okay, it's pretty customary, unless you're Bret Hart, to drop the title before you leave a promotion. And you say you'll show up. They ask you for some promos. You don't do it. They fire you. Okay. Then they tell you to send the belt back, and you say, oh, well, give me $150,000. I cannot find any place on Earth or in any alternate universe to defend you, woman. I don't know what to say. Like, congratulations, Eddie Edwards. That's all I can say.
Good luck to whoever signs Tessa Blanchard.
Oh God, yes. Whoever signs her has their hands full. That's.
I hope whoever signs her has like a big bottle of Excedrin migraine ready, popping them 24/7.
Like one of those old army surplus bottles, you know.
Yeah, she's a headache.
Oh, here we go, plop. You know.
Yeah. But how about Impact? I couldn't help but be kind of interested in this the Taya fucking reality show, whatever.
Oh, Wrestle House. I was just about to ask you about that. I was going to swing back to that. Yes. Oh, my God. It's like, first you see Rosemary, then you see Johnny, then all of a sudden Taya pops up, and Alicia pops up, and Havoc pops up, and Susie, and it just goes on and on and on and on.
Crazy Steve, and they went out there, and
they went for it, dude.
Yeah, I'd much rather have this approach where they're doing these like crazy backstagey, pre-recorded skit things. They have to see multiple like Raw has multiple people in multiple segments and backstage, and then they come back again, and then like if you can't record because of the COVID times and we don't have full roster, do this. Film crazy little backstage fun things and insert them into the show.
Come up with little crazy ideas and run with them. It's a much better way than just, cutting the same old blase blah promo with insert catchphrase at the end.
Splicing in what happened 2 weeks ago, and then let's find out what happened last week, and
I do like
replays over and over again.
I do like Wrestle House. It reminds me a little bit, but it's different. But it reminds me a little bit of that reality show they did on the WWE Network, where it's like the Legends House, where they had like Mean Gene and Pat Patterson and all those guys in the house, and they were recording them, reality TV kind of thing. Yeah. But it's different because it's current wrestlers, and I think it's just little segments here and there. It's not like a full blown reality show. So it should be funny. It should be entertaining. If I give one piece of advice to Impact, I think going forward, you need to just book and promote and do everything as a promotion like you are on the verge of death. Because whenever you are this close to dying, you come up with some great shit and you somehow manage to survive. If you can just live like you're dying week in and week out, you could easily jump some of these promotions and become a huge player in the wrestling game again. So live like you're dying from now on, Impact. That's my best advice to you.
Because the thing with this Wrestle House is you can go out there, you can keep it somewhat kayfabe, and help build characters and have certain characters develop themselves, and doing these crazy little skits, and then branch out, put on YouTube, put little extra clips out there, monetize it, make some money. I'm all looking forward. Hobo Clown too. He said it's interesting. He's in for it. Me and Hobo Clown, we're gonna line one up, and we're gonna trip out on this house. We're gonna enjoy it.
I'm gonna be right there with you. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Just pass it this way.
We're hot box the rest of the house.
I'm sorry. I get so used to like Wendy or Bruce busting in with comments that I'm just kind of laying back waiting for it, not thinking that they're not here because I may or may not have partaken in some things. So let me check the comments real quick. We got Jose saying, is that why the title looked different? Yeah, it was actually, the Impact title was all gold. It used to be like gold and silver with red outline. Now it's all gold because they had to make a new one to give to Eddie Edwards because they couldn't get the old one back from Tessa Blanchard. And Felipe was saying, amen to what Dom said about Tessa Blanchard. Sorry, Impact was super great to her. Yeah, I felt they were, and she totally threw it back in their face. Wrestle House actually looks interesting. It really does. And Impact needs to be different from ROH, MLW, and especially AEW. Yeah, and I think with this kind of stuff, they are. They're not really trying to, sort of clone or copy themselves to another promotion. They're trying original things. They're trying to bring back things that they originally started, like Knockouts Tag Team Championships. You know, they had them long before WWE. They're one of the few major promotions in the States, maybe the first that ever really had them. So, you know, I like what they're doing. It's different. It's interesting. It's fun to watch. You know, it's not too serious. It's not too weighed down with promos. I dig it.
What I give them props for is when they're backstage and sometimes they're in that room that has like that couch and they're like always like intermingling. Like wrestling promotions, like we know that they're all backstage together and they're gonna interact. WWE very rarely. It's always like Kayla Braxton and the guy she's interviewing, and like the rest we have no idea what the fuck they are.
And the person who's about to cut the interview off. That's it.
The impact we see.
Where you have the selfie promo in the back on your phone.
Yeah. The Impact isn't afraid to let, you know, the talent interact and mingle backstage because we know they're all doing that, and I give them props for that. I really like the way that they're trying to do little small things to keep different from the, you know, the typical Monday Night Raw.
It's not like you have to reinvent the wheel. Just tweak things here and there, be yourselves, and see how it goes. And right now, it's working for them. And of course, moving along to Wednesday, we had an episode of AEW, at least the first hour, that I had to keep maybe like wiping my eyes and checking to see if I was on something, because I honestly thought I was watching ECW for a minute or two there. Like, if you put Joey Styles on commentary, I might have thought that was ECW. And I'm not knocking it. It was great. I fucking loved it. I had said, you know, I think it was last week, that Eddie Kingston had been calling out Cody Rhodes and he might get an open challenge. And other people were talking about Bully Ray and this and that. I really wanted to see Eddie Kingston. And when he showed up and he cut that promo and he had that match, that's why. Because it was intense. The promo was intense. The match was intense. Yep. Everything. And the whole time I was just sitting there. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It was just fight forever. I never say that. But yes, please fight forever. Like Cody landed on those tags.
Sense of realness.
Yeah.
The story about the boots and all that, like.
Yeah. Oh God, the story about the boots.
You were almost rooting for him to win in the end. To, you know.
I was rooting for him to either A, win, or B, go to Santana and Ortiz and look at them and go, what the fuck have you been doing? kind of like what I said in regards to Tessa Blanchard. Just walk up and be like, guys, what the hell are you doing with your life? You're running around with this guy. You're losing matches left, right, and center. Like, you're better than this. I was hoping for that.
Grab him by the hands and be like, look, Grandma Wendy is not appreciating what you are doing right now.
Yes. Yes. She would have loved that.
Yeah.
And God damn it, the First Lady deserves that.
Yeah. And then now with the possible Diamante in the mix, they have the, you know, former ties with LAX and all that, and they're all crazy. Maybe some kind of, you know, Latino stable coming up. That could be fucking intense.
Yeah, that would be really cool, because I know Kingston had worked with Santana and Ortiz and Impact, but he was kind of working against them because he was trying to take over, you know, the whole cartel from Conan with the OGs and all that stuff. But still, they got that history. It would have been nice to see something like that in AEW. I don't know if we'll see Eddie again. If we do, I hope it's for something like that. But that match was insane. I loved it. I loved every second.
I'd love to see Eddie run in and cost Cody the eventual the belt to someone else. You know, let Cody and Darby or someone arrest him. Eddie Kingston and fucking lays them out. And
yeah, that would be crazy. And then like immediately following that, if it wasn't bad enough, if Cody like bouncing after being power bombed into thumbtacks wasn't bad enough. Yeah. Then we had the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade, Falls Count Anywhere, and the shit literally started in the kitchen. It was a tremendous match. The spots, the action, the shit off the top of the tunnels through the tables.
the sanitation, the fact that the butcher went and washed his hands.
The butcher went and washed his hands,
Yes.
he put the knife down. For starters, he put the knife down, which in a match where anything goes, why would you put down the knife? But he was so civilized. Put it down, washed his hands, then started whipping the Bucks' ass.
Yes. As a safe certified food handler in the state of California, I could appreciate the fact that he washed his hands and didn't cross-contaminate the surfaces.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's a,
and then the escalator spot. How great was that? Going to break and
God.
you see the blade like disappearing off into the background.
I gotta tell you, man,
that was good.
I have never seen somebody fall up an escalator or a set of steps sober. I've done it several times while drunk, but I've never seen somebody fall up a set of steps while stone sober. So that was a first for me. That kind of blew my mind. And then I was just sitting there kind of silly and stupid for whatever reason, thinking, wouldn't a blade get stuck in that escalator? Just but it was so cool. The whole ass match was just so cool. Yeah. There was such great action. I love that it had that little bit of just hardcore peppered into it. Well, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. For me, my standards are a little different. But it was a great match. The intensity
in the back and brought it to the front, as opposed to WWE, which
starts in the ring and then works its way. Yeah, that was cool too. No, it was just the intensity of that first hour was just off the freaking charts. I couldn't. Yeah. It got so bad I couldn't sit still. Like I'm just sitting here like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, they definitely killed it this week.
And of course, if you hadn't seen, Ricky Starks and Brian Cage on Dark, you got to see him on Dynamite, and poor Darby, poor pathetic Darby Allin. I love that guy, but I think he should have just listened to Taz in the first place, don't you?
How much easier. Watch the replays when Ricky Starks nails him and Darby.
Darby goes into the rope.
Dude, I think he legitimately got knocked out cold. If he just limp falls
he legit went out at that point. I had to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Like during the commercial, I skipped back on YouTube TV and watched it again, and like kind of just slowed it down and went through, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, he's out. The way he buckled and the way his face and caught that rope. Because I know they say it all the time, but those aren't ropes; they're actual cables. So when he went flying into it, he knocked himself cold.
Yeah.
And it was tough to. I mean, honestly, even going back the second time, it was tough to watch. But God damn, poor Darby. Like he cannot. Here's a man who should have just listened to Taz in the first place. Like if anybody ought to have, if anybody can tell Darby Allin this is what you need to do. How about a legit badass hardcore legend who created Suplex City in the first place? Sorry, Brock. How about that guy? Obviously, it's working out okay for Cage, and it's probably going to work out pretty well for Ricky Starks. You, on the other hand, you got an uphill battle, homie.
That's a good feud. I'm digging it. I'm digging emo Peter Pan versus Cage. I like it.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments about that. Even Jose said, as a line cook, I was impressed with the way he didn't, he put the knife down, washed his hands. Good job, Butcher. He's definitely worried about that cross contamination, and in these times, that's a big deal. Brian also agreed that first hour of Dynamite was absolute fire. Yes, it was. The emo Peter Pan. Actually, if you remember, my wife said the gothic Peter Pan.
Well, after last night, he's probably crying his ass off. So he's emo.
He might be a little emo now. That's true.
Call him B. Yeah.
Okay, touche. And we had basically Diamante thrown into the open challenge against Sheeta, which I think is going to be cool. And we had the Inner Circle taking on Jurassic Express, which was it was a fun match. It was odd.
It's it's nice to see Luchasaurus getting a little bit more of his fluidity since coming back from that injury. He's looked a little stiff. He's looked a little, out of step. But I thought he looked really good last night. Some of his kicks have been, his kicks have been looking really good lately. For a while there, he was kind of getting clunky. Like you could tell he wasn't trusting himself yet. But last night, he's definitely. I would love to see him in the title picture.
No, I mean, between Fyter Fest and last night, he's definitely kind of feels a little bit more comfortable in the ring and looks a lot better than he did coming back from the injury. The thing that made me believe that maybe we were going to see Kingston come out during that match and kind of take Santana and Ortiz was at one point or on set, actually a couple of times, it seemed like Santana and Ortiz, while trying to help the Inner Circle, were actually helping Jurassic Express because they were like distracting the refs so Marco could like get up on the top rope and throw his 45-pound ass at somebody. and all that. So I had been thinking in the midst of it, somebody's coming out. Like Kingston's going to come out, grab these guys, screw the Inner Circle, give Jurassic Express the win. That didn't happen. Instead, we had that weird moment where Serpentico helped them win.
Serpentico, yeah.
And I was like,
you know what?
And that kind of struck me funny. Oh, go ahead, man.
I avoided the spoilers, so I didn't know what was. I watched it later on afterwards.
Right.
And so when he came into the ring, I thought to myself, he didn't look. Something was off. The fact that it was a mask too told me. I had no idea it was gonna be Sammy. I thought it would maybe be too soon. I thought they were maybe gonna try to keep him suspended for a while.
Yeah,
I was surprised when he popped out. I was watching here. It was like midnight, and I'm like, trying not to wake everybody up, but
trying not, because I had my child going to bed, and he pulled the mask off, and I'm like, I want to shout, but I can't now because my child's right behind me in bed, so I'm like, just no sound. But the first thing I thought when I saw him was like, there is, I've seen him on Dark, and he's not a bad wrestler, he's not a bad gimmick, but there is no way in hell that Serpentico is going to be the next member of the Inner Circle. So something ain't right. Yeah. And then when he pulled the mask off and it was Sammy, I was definitely surprised. The question then becomes, do you think it's too soon to bring Sammy back? Or is this like the right time after everything with the Sasha comments and the sensitivity training and suspensions and all that?
I think for the fact that it was a ridiculous comment. I'm not there to defend this comment. I don't comment like that. But for the fact that it was a comment that was made years ago and it's very resurfacing now, you have to give the guy credit. He's shown growth. He hasn't made comments like since then. We didn't unearth several tapes of
there wasn't a Sammy mashup tape of all the shit he said in
there was the best of misogyny or whatever,
Yeah.
The fact that Sasha Banks herself came out and said that they had a heart-to-heart discussion, that's a lot because from someone
she accepted his apology and then they talked and then she told him exactly how she felt and not only that, this is why you don't say this shit. I thought that was big. It was big of Sasha. It was big of Sammy to sit there and let her give him the criticism and school him to a point.
Yeah, I was just about to say, in therapy, it's a huge thing to actually confront your accuser and to meet the one that you're hurting and have to like face to face it. So the fact that he did that, I give him props. Had he actually had physical interactions with women and been DMing women, then fuck that guy.
Go away.
But this is a dumb joke that he has taken back, walked back, and she's accepted his apology. And what more can we say? I think he.
Yeah, I don't want to open like a fresh wound, but this isn't Joey Ryan that we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a man.
His salary was given to the women's group in Florida, Jacksonville, to help out.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of good has been done. He's learned his lesson. He's young.
Yeah, this was a young kid. I mean, even now, I think Sammy's like 24. So at the time when he said this, he was like 21 years old. Now, while I'm not going to defend what he said, I will say there's a lot of shit that I said and believed at 20, 21 that I probably regret today at 40. It's just nobody got it on camera. I'm not a big deal. So it all just went under the rug, and I lived and I learned and I moved forward with my life. Now with Sammy, that shit happened years ago and then was brought back up at a time where we had so many people accusing professional wrestlers of doing so many horrible things. So to throw that in, it made it look even worse. It was bad enough as is what he said. It made it look even worse with what other wrestlers had done. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I think it's okay. I think it's all right to bring him back now, because even in a statement from Tony Khan, which is long, so I'm just going to paraphrase. He said the man went through sensitivity training, group therapy, just the list goes on and on. He was suspended without pay for over a month. Eventually, he's got to be able to, move on with his life. And not only that, maintain the life that he has. So it makes perfect sense to bring him back, because it's not like Sammy was living, high on the hog before all this. And, he was just bringing in some good money with AEW for a few months. And now it's like, okay, suspended without pay, go home. Eventually, he's going to have to sell his wrestling boots like Eddie Kingston did. So, it feels like it's about time. I understand what he did. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to sympathize for him any further. I'm just going to say it seems like he learned his lesson. I hope he did moving forward. And if he ever says or does something like this again, Tony Khan, you better fire his ass. That's where I stand on it. If he says, I've gone through the necessary steps and I've learned and I want to move forward with my life, okay. It's not like people haven't gotten second chances before. So, give this kid a chance, because that's really what he is. He's 24. When he said it, he was even younger. Like, you still got a lot to learn at 24. I'm sorry.
But to spin this to some kind of like some sort of positive note or some kind of positivity to like just push the shit behind us. When I first sensed my spidey sense was tingling that Serpentico was not maybe the man we thought under the mask.
I don't know what gave you that idea.
Yeah, but my crazy mind went with, is it Christopher Daniels? I couldn't imagine who could it have been.
Right, because Daniels and Jericho are kind of tight.
I just saw like a smaller build, thinner frame, and I wouldn't have been sad if it had been Daniels. Let me quickly say that.
For all we knew, Darby Allin came to put on a Serpentico mask and decided he was going to join the Inner Circle, because he was sick and tired of getting his ass kicked, and Dark Order is not the way to go.
My thought went light, like skinnier, light-skinned guy who hasn't been used all episode and just been standing there. I couldn't think who else it could have been, but yeah, Sammy Guevara, great to see him back. I look forward to perhaps next week. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the previews. Maybe next week or the week after. Judas being sang finally in its truest form.
Oh God, no, Sammy, please learn.
I need that. I need that as my ringtone. I need that as my intro music, my ringtone, my alarm in the morning. I'm gonna wake up to Sammy's beautiful.
All you, dude. I'll see what I can make up for you. It'll be like a late birthday present. Now, moving on to NXT, and we had heard going into that night that William Regal had a big announcement, and the show had started with Keith Lee saying that he was going to relinquish the North American Championship because he wanted to give other NXT superstars on the roster the opportunity that he got, because obviously winning that championship kind of sprungboard him into other things like Survivor Series, like the title picture, that sort of thing, which I thought was I thought it was a good. I thought that makes Keith Lee a good dude, because anybody else, you don't see Bayley saying, "Oh, I'm going to give up the SmackDown title and focus on being women's tag champs," or you're not going to have Naito saying, "I want to give somebody an opportunity for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship," or Evil now. But Keith Lee's like, "No, I want somebody else to have the opportunity," which was great. And then we got to Regal's announcement. Yeah, I would have liked that too, but it shows the kind of guy that Keith Lee is, and I respect that, and I love him for it. But then we got to Regal's announcement, and Regal's announcement was not as great as Keith Lee's. Because there's something, if you've watched this show, that Evan, that I, that almost all of our co-hosts have said and complained about as recently as maybe Takeover in Your House, was when they have these number one contender matches or title matches. What do? Let's have a multiple man match. Let's make a fatal four-way. Let's make a triple threat. Let's do that. So William Regal's announcement is there will be a tournament for the North American title. That tournament will consist of multiple triple threat matches, and the winner of that match will qualify for a ladder match at TakeOver 30 for the North American title. Number one, multiple man matches. Why? Number two, didn't they already crown the inaugural North American champ with a ladder match? Do we have to do this again? Is this really where we need to go again? Am I alone on this, Evil Evan? Your thoughts? Are you?
Yeah, no. It reeks of TV filler time. We have 5 weeks and no real storyline, no real feud to build. Instead of giving you 2 guys and a reason why they should fucking want to kill each other and win that title, we're just gonna get all these 15 guys that we have on our roster, throw in a bunch of matches, and eventually someone will win it, and there'll be no real reason to root for anybody, no real reason to give a shit about any of these 3-ways other than the guy gets the belt at the end, which I guess is a prize. I mean, the guy who had the belt didn't even fucking want it, so I guess I should want it, right?
Right? No, I thought it was cool that Bronson Reed qualified because they were saying that was probably the biggest win of his NXT career, and no doubt. It's not that bad, but one of the biggest things they had going, and not just for that video that he cut or that storyline, was the Cruiserweight title tournament. It was one-on-one. It was kind of set up like New Japan Cup style. It was interesting, and it led to all this that developed afterwards with Phantasma unmasking and all this other stuff. It had drama. It had lots of action. It was great. So now we're going to go to these triple threats and a ladder match instead. Why? You just had a title tournament and it worked out beautifully. Why not do it again? These guys will still get opportunities. They just won't have to, have multiple man matches where, maybe somebody gets a quick win and okay, yay, they're in and you're gone and that sort of thing. You can have these amazing matches that would fill time if you put together a barn burner type of match in every round, in every spot on the tournament. It's going to fill time. It's going to be interesting. People are going to enjoy it. Just like TakeOver. Every match at TakeOver is 25, 30 minutes, and nobody cares because they're amazing. You could have the same thing with a title tournament for the North American Championship, but you chose to do this instead. It just feels like you kind of cheapened what Keith Lee did. Sorry. Just my opinion.
It just seems like the WWE is in a mindset of a 3-way match. And for the more competitors we put, the sweeter the icing. And we're going to give you a ladder match. So we're going to give you more icing. And we're going to put all kind of sweetness. And there's going to be little roses and bowls and all kind of fondant icing deliciousness. But the fucking cake itself inside tastes like
disgusting.
Shit.
Yeah.
Because they don't even work on that.
It's like we didn't make a cake. We just put all that on a rice cake. It's the same thing. Yeah. No, it's not.
But it's not even close. That's what the kids want. The kids want the sweetness. No, I would much rather them give me a 3-way this week, a 3-way next week, 2 winners, and then for multiple weeks, these guys talk shit. These guys cut promos on
or have like a best of 5 or something leading to TakeOver 30.
It's almost like the WWE has this. The NXT has all these mega stars, Dijakovic and Cross and Gargano and Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, and so many. And like
Priest.
A parent with all kind of kids, you don't want to pick your favorite. You're not going to single one out as the guy that's going to get the push, the guy that we're going to give the most love.
But it's like,
we're going to put them all in this crazy tournament and pretend that they all matter, and in the end, not one of them matters.
Well, that's to me. Is this NXT or is this like Pee Wee League? Does everybody have to get a fucking trophy?
Yes.
Like just
exactly.
pick the top guys, put them in a tournament, let them battle it out. It'll be more than compelling television, and people will want to watch it. And maybe you'll get better ratings because the last few weeks, again, you had those little wins here, here or there, but overall, AEW has dominated you, and I don't care personally because I watch both. But at the same time, if you're giving out something that isn't as interesting, and you're doing, and again, you put all this shit on a rice cake, people are gonna go, nah, not for me. And then you just look at AEW, and there's a regular chocolate cake there. You're like, oh, I love chocolate cake. I'll have some of that. Thank you.
And the thing is with AEW is they're giving us that simple chocolate cake, but because they have the ability to get some of these, younger indie talents, they can get Eddie Kingston, some of these other independent guys.
Yeah, they can go anywhere, really.
It's not going to be the same chocolate cake every time. Whereas WWE, they're giving you all these multiple crazy matches.
Right, like you show up Wednesday at AEW, you take that chocolate cake, you're like, wait a minute, is this Marvel now? It was yellow last week. This is fucking delicious.
It's good, but it's delicious.
Again, it's NXT, like I said with Impact, just take that and tweak what you do a little bit, and it'll still be interesting. People will still want to watch. People will tune back in. People will love it. But if you try to just recreate the same thing over and over and over and over and over, eventually people are like, nah, I'll pass.
Because they have amazing wrestlers under their roster.
Tremendous.
NXT, but it's the same. How many times can we see Gargano and Ciampa facing the same guys? Same thing when we saw Lee and Dijakovic last week. Seen it before. They don't have the ability to get newer faces or just fresher talent. It's like they have the same moving parts, and they don't know what to do with them because they're afraid to push. They're afraid to push any of them ahead of the others in the fear that if these guys win, then these guys are gonna lose. When someone has to fucking lose,
Yeah, I'm sorry. When did NXT start keeping ratings and win-loss records? I thought that was the other show. Like who cares if somebody loses? You can still push them later. There's always another match because there's always another week on TV. So unless you're keeping rankings and win-losses and everything else, like Bronson, I can't remember the last time Bronson Reed won a match, and he just qualified for this ladder match on Wednesday. So obviously they're not keeping tabs, just like I said. So if you're worried about, you don't need to worry about who loses. You need to worry about, okay, who are we going to put out there first? And then who's going to be next in line when this guy pulls this title, and that sort of, and just roll along with it. If so, it's not. Tell me Keith Lee never lost a match before he got those 2 belts. Bullshit. I saw him lose to Lars Sullivan. Nobody talks about it because of what happened to Lars Sullivan, but I saw it on NXT on the WWE Network. Keith Lee lost before, and now he's standing there. He had 2 belts. Now he's got the NXT title. It happens. Losses happen. You move on. You move forward, and hopefully you move up like Keith Lee did. But they don't seem to want to, take anybody outside of like Lee and a select few and kind of put them on that next level. I'm not even sure they're sold on Cross yet, and he looks tremendous. I mean, every time you see him, his gimmick, the entrance, Scarlet, everything is like top notch. And I'm not sure they're sold on him.
I was noticing this week, maybe it's me thinking a little too much because I seem to do that. But as they were going on about this North American, kind of tournament and blah, blah, it was a bit of like a distraction. Look over here. Well, not. I happened to realize, like, over here in the background, where is Io Shirai been and the NXT women's belt? I mean, I don't want to be that guy who's conspiracy theorist, but like, fuck, has COVID hit the women's division?
Well, they showed, they did show the quick clip of Dakota Kai kicking her in the face after her match with Tegan Knox.
Yeah.
And then later on, they blipped to a quick tweet, which I almost missed, of Io saying she'll see her next week. So apparently we got Io taking on Dakota Kai next week. Okay. I almost missed it myself. Because, again, I watch on YouTube TV, so I'm trying to skip commercials, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just saw Io, so I backed up, and I saw the little clip from the week before, and I was like, okay, I saw that. And then again, I'm skipping commercials, and all of a sudden I see EO's face again. And I'm like, wait a minute, I back up, and I see the tweet she put out. But if I would have just, been, I would have missed it completely.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. But
yeah, that's usually me too.
When
But
when it comes to WWE, like when I don't see someone on TV for like 2 weeks in a row, I start to panic that oh shit, did they wear a mask? Are they
oh shit, look
protected?
at that.
Because
It's Peter. Hi, Peter.
all
Oh,
right, Peter finding the fun.
I love that guy. It was so cool to watch along with him. But yeah, and then we had under the category of what the fuck was the whole thing. Obviously, they started this feud with Shotzi and Aaliyah, and Shotzi took care of Aaliyah. And then I was laughing my ass off when she ran over Robert Stone's other foot. I was dying. But that only lasted a couple of seconds because out of nowhere, she just gets chin checked by Mercedes Martinez. Bang! She's done. Yeah. And shortly after that, Mercedes walks up on Robert Stone and basically says, "I'm in." And I'm sitting there thinking, why?
Yeah.
Like, did I miss something? Can you? I mean, I get what she's saying. Like, I don't want to deal with you deal with the bullshit, and I'll go beat people up. But like, couldn't you have found anybody else for that? Like anybody but this guy.
If they can drop the comedy and they can drop the fact that he's like drunk and tripping over himself and all that
hot
shit,
mess.
And actually have him be like a legit Bobby Heenan style, snarky remarks, still with the
I get behind it.
Lying. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see this Robert Stone brand and him have like a stable of women. Because I don't think it's been done before where the WWE, we saw with what, PMS for a while had Stasiak. Oh, they managed him, huh? He didn't manage it. Yeah, have we ever had a male manager with like a bevy of women? Like
I'm thinking about it.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I can't remember anybody, so that would be interesting.
Have them pick up the women's tag belts, bring them to NXT for a while, maybe get the women, have them get someone pick up the women's title.
Yeah, because cool. I mean, it's fine when I see her on TV. I love Mercedes Martinez. I think she's tremendous. Yeah. But it was just weird that she wanted to go with Robert Stone. Like again, it's weird that Robert Stone gets all this time when there's a guy like Malcolm Bivens sitting there.
Yeah.
And I know he's amazing because I've watched him in ROH. I love the guy. And he's got his big old beastly Indian tag team, and that's cool. But in comparison, I mean, Robert Stone, Malcolm Bivens. Can we adjust the TV time a little bit and have this guy kind of get all the women and get a stable together? Because like it would be more believable seeing him back these people and promote them and manage them than Robert Stone, who's just a hot fucking mess for the same reason he was 6 weeks ago.
That's right. If they can flip the switch on this and give him a little bit more of a serious edge, I could be down for Mercedes Martinez. I mean, like we mentioned last week, we don't know where she's been, but bring back Chelsea Green and then let them feud it out.
That'd be cool.
You quit this guy and
I'm even kind of looking forward to Mercedes versus Shotzi. Like that should be a pretty good match. I don't know if they're going to do it on TV, save it for TakeOver 30, whatever. But like once those two get together, that could be a tremendous match. Let me see here. Oh, sorry, looking at comments, just realized we have some. Felipe asked us two things. How many weeks has Sammy been out? Roughly a month, maybe 5 weeks.
Like 4 or 5 weeks, yeah.
At this before Wednesday, yeah. And his second question: do you think AEW needs more talent now? I think they need to start to elevate new names and faces. They are stocked with heels, with heel talent right now. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, first two names that come to mind when you say heel talent in AEW are Jericho and MJF. I don't know if they really need. I know there's a lot of people, and Brucey's one of the big ones who, every time somebody comes up, he wants them to go to AEW. I get that. And they also have that second show coming. We don't know what it's going to be yet. So maybe they could use more talent later. But right now, I think you nailed it. I think they need to take the people that they have and elevate them.
Oh, yeah. I think
because we had said
really get good going behind.
Right, because we had said, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Cardona showed up there. I wouldn't be surprised if EC3 showed up there. I wouldn't be surprised if Miro showed up there. But when they do, or if they do, what do you do with them?
Yeah.
Because you obviously you got the open challenge with Cody, and you could do that. That's like a one-off, pretty much, unless you're Ricky Starks. But then after that, what do you do with them? I mean, I could see Miro in the title picture, but he said he wants to go to Japan. There's not really a need at the moment to bring in a lot of new talent, because they've already brought in a lot of new talent, and they already have some guys that they've established on Dynamite, along with the Jerichos and the Haters and that sort of thing. So I don't really think
the problem with, I think AEW has a lot of talent. It's just not well-known talent. Like
right.
A guy like Scorpio Sky, he can easily, talent-wise, be in the title picture. A guy Brandon Cutler, another one, not a household name, but as a SoCal guy, I know the guy can go. He has a great look to him, a great size to him. Given the right storyline, him and Luchasaurus could definitely have some kind of epic feud going on. Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, they have a lot of names, just not names that are jumping off the page like we would hope they would be, like a Moxley or a Brian Cage or a Chris Jericho, Orange Cassidy. These are huge guys that we can bank on, but there are a lot of guys that they can build on. Like I said, they've only been around not even a year yet. So
honestly, like on top of that, with everybody that they have, you never know how many of these tag teams, there's at least a couple in their division that may end up splitting up and going into the singles division, which then throws a whole, throws another 4, maybe 6 guys into that pool of like, what do we do with them? Like, you never know when like Hangman and Kenny are going to break up. You never know if the Lucha Brothers will stay together or if they'll go solo, because obviously Lucha Underground and a lot of other places prove that they're just as good on their own as they are together, if not better.
I think they could definitely be like they could be like their WWE version of the WWE's Hardy Boys, where you pair them together and they can dominate. You feud them against each other and they'll fucking
and it's
dominate.
Amazing.
Put them in separate singles runs and they'll be fucking
and
amazing.
They're amazing. Yeah.
And you bring it back as a tag team later. They have so many options with the Lucha Bros. I think definitely that there. And then another one is Jurassic Express.
I was going to bring them up too.
Jungle Boy has fucking future title contender. I could picture him with a belt on his shoulder talking to Michael Strahan and Cali Rippo, fucking whoever on the Today Show or whoever hosts that shit. I don't even know.
Luchasaurus is another guy that has that potential.
That charisma, yeah.
And
the title, future champions, I think of guys that would be, on the cover of a magazine, guys that would be walking down a fucking red carpet
and don't get me wrong.
A lot of these guys.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking Brucey whatsoever when he says like, "Oh, this guy's out there. I want him in AEW." He said it with Brian Cage. Showed up. He said it with Marty Scurll. He said it with EC3. He said it with almost everyone that's been out there in the free agent market. And I get it. I'm not knocking him. I like to think about that too. I fantasy booked my way through like, oh man, if Bully Ray shows up and he gets a shot at Cody with one of these open challenges, that would be amazing. Could you imagine? But then Eddie Kingston kind of stole his thunder, because like, you want to know how it would be? It would be like that match with Eddie Kingston. That's how it would be. But I do that too. But at the same time, then I take a step back and I look at what they've got and I think, man, they really don't need anybody right now. Like, they've brought in so many people. Just the last few months, we've had Brody Lee, we've had Cage, we've had Matt Hardy, we've had, the list goes on and on. We have Archer. The list goes on and on and on and on.
Putting guys through the fucking ceiling and shit. How about that promo?
Oh my God, that was another part of that first hour. Bucks,
the power hour. Yeah.
Who like basically says he's forgotten about, and I'm like, oh shit, somebody's dead. And they were like, multiple people died that night because everybody dies around Lance Archer, if you haven't noticed.
No, when it comes to AEW needing talent, I could see perhaps with this talk of this women's tag tournament coming up, they could use maybe a few like jobber teams to help just lose in the first round. people to help maybe get their name out there, people to test the waters per se.
That was another thing I was going to bring up. I think that made the Nightmare Sisters make complete sense, because leading into that, I did not know where they were going. I had seen them on Dark. They showed up at Fight for the Fallen, and you're like, why? If they would have announced the women's tag tournament at Fight for the Fallen, and then the Nightmare Sisters showed up, you would have been like, oh, okay. But they waited, so it was very confusing. And I'm not saying they were horrible about it or it was terribly wrong. It was just confusing. And now knowing that, it's like, oh, okay, that's why they put the Nightmare Sisters together. You're probably gonna see like Nyla and Penelope Rose get together. You're probably gonna see a few other women pair off. That's gonna be kind of cool. Like, I'm excited for that too. I think it's a cool time in women's wrestling, between the talk of the knockout tag titles coming back. Now you got an AEW women's tag tournament. You got open challenges with Sheeta. I was even kind of hoping that Thunder Rosa would show up on her birthday and challenge Sheeta. That would have been fucking amazing. Like, hands down, I would have marked out. I love that woman. It would have been a great match. But it didn't, when it didn't happen, I was like, okay, I get it. Diamante, cool. But it would have been nice to see Thunder Rosa. Like, that would have been a hell of a birthday present. You get a title shot. You have a title. So...
Do you have any fantasy teams or fantasy female women that you would want to see brought in for this tournament? Who do you think they bring in? Who's out there? Because I don't think they have 16 women.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know where she's at right now, as far as, because obviously she hadn't been in ROH for a while, with COVID and everything else. Yeah. But I could see, like, I think it would be pretty badass to put somebody like Big Swole with like Kelly Klein. Yeah. If those two team up and just smash mouth dominate, that would be a pretty badass team. I know it's hodgepodge, but all these tag teams pretty much will be. So I'm not really,
There was a few, maybe a couple months back. I don't even remember her name. All I remember is that she was Brazilian. She was beautiful, and she wrestled on AEW.
Something James.
Yeah. See, maybe they bring in Tayanara Conti and pair them up together.
Yes. Those two.
Brazilian badass jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
Like I said, not everyone that gets brought in has to win. You can bring them in. Someone has to lose the Nightmare Sisters, and it just introduce her to the crowd, introduce her to the audience, and let's see where it goes.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool.
You put them together in the tournament, and who knows?
What about Thunder Rosa and Sienna, Team NWA?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. I would love to see NWA and AEW work something out, just because they had a little bit of a working arrangement, back at All In. And obviously they're not doing a whole lot right now, and Ricky's come over, and there's been talk of other people. Obviously Eddie showed up, but to get a working arrangement like NWA had with ROH, where your talent comes over, that sort of thing, to get some of the people from that women's division in that tag title tournament and have them represent the NWA. Like, for instance, if you had Thunder Rosa and either Allison Kay or Melina come in, and Thunder Rosa's rocking the NWA Women's Championship, it immediately legitimizes them as a tag team. Plus, they were, they were in a faction together before Power went off the air due to COVID. So they're already established.
Have Billy Corgan and Nick Aldis in the audience, rocking suits and the belt, kind of show representation.
Oh yeah, you have like your AEW wrestlers on one side, and you have your NWA wrestlers on the other.
Yeah,
that would look so cool. And it would be perfect. It would add to this tournament, and maybe they could, work together on a few other things. Like, maybe we'd finally get all this Cody 3, which I'm dying for. Especially, like, Cody's got a title, Nick's got a title. All this Cody 3, everything on the line.
Yeah.
I'd love that. That would be so epic. Those stakes alone, and the way they just killed each other the first two matches. It would be insane. It would be more intense than the first hour of Dynamite.
Yeah. Definitely Billy Corgan needs to start thinking outside the box if they can't start putting their own shows together and start putting their own.
And that's the thing. It's not like it's not like Billy can't because he already had. Before Power, he was bringing NWA everywhere. Like I'll put him in ROH. I'll bring him to the independent scene. I'll bring him to Japan. I'll do whatever. You need to do a little bit of that with what's going with what is up and running now to keep your brand out there, to keep your name on people's in people's heads, to get your wrestlers paid. So that you don't end up by the time you do finally get a chance to come back, like you couldn't afford to pay your roster, so they all just kind of bolted on you. I don't want to see that happen. So I'm hoping he, gets back to that outside the box thinking and comes up with something where he partners up with, somebody like AEW, or even New Japan, and gets them out in the forefront again, gets his wrestlers in a ring, gets them paid so that he can keep a roster moving forward. That's the key. No matter who or where you do this with, get yourself out there so that you can keep this going, because I do not want to lose NWA Power for good. I just no, I don't. It's not going to happen. Please don't let it happen, Billy.
No.
I
have not gotten enough of my karate.
No, I need the question mark back bad. I love that dude. Only in NWA does that work. It's great though. I'm not even gonna lie.
Imagine Cody and Arn out there, and he'd be like, "I'm out here representing the grandson of a plumber, and I want my open challenge." And now comes fucking karate.
Hey.
It'll never happen. It's two whole separate worlds. But
yes,
what I go. I'd wake up the kids with that one. I would let out an audible.
I probably would too. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, no, what happened?
I can't lie. I probably wake up my whole family for that too. That's just like that's like when worlds collide. I don't even that whole image in my head. It's just blowing my mind. Now
that's like an end game when you take the portals start opening and they all start coming out and you're like, oh, that's
yes.
Then Spider-Man comes up and you're just like, fucking, that would be me right there in karate. I'm like,
yes.
Love it.
Yes, absolutely.
Now,
there is. Oh no, you're fine, dude. But there is one last thing that I wanted to get into before we get up out of here, and it's kind of NXT related too. It happened this afternoon. This brawl or standoff that we had. It wasn't really a brawl, but this like standoff and
face-to-face confrontation
between Pat McAfee and Adam Cole, which I believe. Let me look here. I should have the footage.
We're not going to get pulled from YouTube for this, right?
I don't think so. And if we do, I'll edit it out. But I have the footage from the Pat McAfee show here. I'm going to run the clip, and then we're just going to discuss it right quick. Here we go.
When of all people to say that to me, that I surround myself with super talented people, and that I was successful. You're a psycho. We didn't say only reason. We said main reason. Okay. Main reason. That's exactly what you're saying. And since you just kind of took a little jab there at my profession, I've been taking jabs at you this whole show. No. I was the player of the decade in my position. So, Hunter, so although I was surrounded by good people, it was just me and the ball. And Pat, guess what? I was the longest reigning NXT champion of all time. And guess who did that all by themselves? Oh, that's right, me. Did it all by myself. Nah, don't believe that. We watched the takeovers, Adam. The Undisputed Era is the main reason why you succeeded. But by the way, smart. That's good business. Hey, that's business, baby. That's very business. Oh, and especially for you, because you're kind of small. Oh, we're gonna go with the size thing. Dude, I'm sick of your shit. I come all the way here, take time away from my family to come to your stupid fucking show. You're gonna continue to disrespect me. Don't touch me. Whoa! Fuck you. Fuck you. Oh, fuck you. Get out of here. Shit. You alright? What the fuck is wrong with that guy? I mean, a lot happened here very quickly. Was I being?
All right, so let me cut that off. Now, his question, I believe, because I've seen this clip a few times. he asked if he was being insensitive or if he was in the wrong coming at Adam Cole the way that he did. So I'm going to ask that question to you since Pat asked it himself.
I don't even know where to begin with this. Yeah. Was it real? Was it a work? I don't even know. He's bringing up Hall of Fame statistics from the NFL, and then he's saying I'm the longest reigning NXT. Like if that's like a real accomplishment. But then Pat, instead of calling him out saying like that wrestling is fake, like goes into it about it being like, well, you needed the Undisputed Era to help you. Like he's still like in worker mode too. So I don't even know.
I know they've had some problems, you know, behind the scenes when like Pat comes into work takeovers and that kind of stuff. And Cole had been in Indianapolis where Pat shoots the show, and Pat messaged him, invited him on. They were supposed to bury the hatchet. They clearly did not bury the hatchet. But for Pat McAfee to say he was the greatest punter of all time or whatever the fuck, I think you might have heard me laugh.
Yeah.
I think you might have heard me laugh. I mean, does anybody really? I've never seen, you know, I watch a lot of football, and I've never turned on the NFL Network and saw like the countdown of the top 10 punters of the decade. I don't think anybody gives a shit. So, you know, to make that claim is probably as false or fake as Adam Cole talking about his title run. But
all I know is I personally can't get a football and fucking punt it 70 yards with a 5-minute hang time. So props to any NFL fucking player who's a legitimate athlete. But I do know that I could be booked to win a title for over a year given the proper storyline, because not taking away anything, because I get these guys are fucking trained athletes, but winning a title is like writing down on a piece of paper. Anybody can win a belt when written down.
Now,
so the fact that he didn't call out that is bizarre to me. The fact that Pat is coming at him with like, I'm a legit athlete in the NFL with legit credentials, and then he comes at him with like, well, they want me in a story to be the champ, and like I would have been called him out, I'd have been like, but they stayed like in kayfabe mode, which is fucking bizarre to me because
it was weird. It was like this where kayfabe meets reality kind of thing, because those guys had definitely had some genuine heat, you know, going into this, and even prior to that clip, McAfee had brought up something about like the comparisons between Adam Cole and Shawn Michaels, and accusing, you know, saying to Adam Cole, well, you always say you're the next Shawn Michaels and this and that, and Adam corrected him and said, no, I've never called myself that. Shawn Michaels called me that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to become the next I'm not trying to become the next HBK. I'm trying to become the first Adam Cole. And I think it kind of got Pat McAfee like butt hurt. And this was the result where he kept bringing up the Undisputed Era. He kept bringing up his size. He kept bringing up, because he had poked and prodded at Adam Cole previously on like kickoff shows and on his show about him being too small, about him being a Shawn Michaels clone, about all this. And I think that what we saw when Adam Cole blew up was just a culmination of like, fuck this dude. I'm not going to sit here and take it. Like like you said, I was nice enough to come on your show, and you're sitting here giving me the Shawn Michaels bullshit. You're sitting here giving me the small bullshit. You're sitting here giving me everything that we had beef over, that you messaged me, because the direct messages were even out on social media where he was saying, I want you to come on and bury the hatchet. I know we've had our problems. This is what they had their problems over. And it seemed like as soon as Adam Cole kind of corrected him and got like a little bit of a buzz going in the studio, all of a sudden Pat McAfee went back to all the shit and pushed all the buttons. And then when Adam Cole got pissed, went, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Am I being insensitive? No, you're being butthurt is what you are.
Yeah.
Because he corrected you on your show, so now your ego is bruised, so you have to talk about being the greatest punter of all time to make up for it.
To me, if it was legit and this was Adam Cole pissed off and storming off out of, you know, real anger, grow up, buddy. Come on.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a professional. You're leading worldwide brand of fucking worldwide entertainment, and you're gonna act like this in an interview? Someone asks you a question you don't like, and you're gonna break equipment. And if it's real, and you're gonna storm off, the fact that you're being called short offends you. There's something wrong with your psyche, homie. Realize that you're 5'11", homie. That's in the world of professional athletes, that's short. I've met the man. I've seen him at PWG, shorter than me. I'm 6 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
He's not a giant.
But at the same time,
that's getting to his psyche. Maybe this is not the profession that he needs to be following. Then. Maybe
I agree.
Giant.
The only thing
being called short is gonna fucking blow your fuse. You can stand right here and say I'm a hack. I can't draw for shit. I'm uncreative. Now I'm gonna fucking dust it off my shoulders because it's not gonna get to me.
Right.
If someone's insulting you and it gets you that bad, reassess your mindset, buddy.
I agree, but I agree with all of that. But at the same time, I know we don't exactly have as much experience hosting a show as, say, Pat McAfee. Okay. But if we were to get Adam Cole on a show, and we know he's got these problems with the Shawn Michaels thing or the size thing or whatever, do you think we're bringing any of that up? See, that's where it comes down. When you have to, beef withstanding, there comes a point where you have to be professional, where like, I want to get a good interview out of this guy. I don't want him to get pissed and storm off like he did. So I'm going to at least pretend while I'm on my show to bury the hatchet and get along with this guy and whatever. And then maybe later I'll go on and I'll call him short on Twitter. But until he leaves my set, I'm going to get the best interview I can possibly get. And that's where Pat really went wrong.
Yeah, I don't listen to Pat McAfee. He's not like on my fucking regular dials to listen to. So I have no idea what his interviews are. So I don't know how he tends to. Maybe this is his style. If I get called up to be on Sirius and Howard Stern, I'm going to expect dick jokes, and they're going to bring up my fucking farts. They're going to throw cocks at me. I'm expecting the worst. If I'm getting invited to John Oliver, then I'm expecting, cool, I'm going to get a serious discussion. We're going to talk about, it's
right, but
if this is McAfee's style, if he's the kind of guy who pushes buttons and I'm the antagonist asshole, then you know what you want to do.
When you read what Pat sent him about coming on the show, and then you're Adam Cole, and you're thinking, Pat works for NXT. In other words, Pat practically works for me because I'm the star. He's just the guy on the pre-show. So if I go there and he wants to bury the hatchet, he'll probably show me respect. And then that happens, you might flip out. Yeah. I'm glad Felipe said it in the comments because I didn't want to say it myself, but I was thinking it. He says, and I quote, "I don't like Pat McAfee at all. He is so annoying and has nothing to do with WWE, just like Sam Roberts." Amen, Felipe. I don't like either one of those dudes because they barely know what the fuck they're talking about. And that's another reason that this interview went horribly wrong.
But that's the WWE's fault because they want to fucking act like we're an international brand and we have real podcasters and real sports interviewers and we matter. Outside of our little wrestling bubble, we matter. Well,
they don't.
Break it to your face. You don't fucking matter.
You never did.
The ratings each week are getting worse and worse because the real fans like us are falling asleep. They can't even hold our attention. The 2 million that they had guaranteed week after week are not even guaranteed anymore.
No.
And so they're trying to get these fucking podcasters who have a built-in million subscribers already to interview their stars in hopes that their fans will become WWE fans. It's just not working. The crossover isn't happening. We're pissed off at them, and I'm sure
because they fans
don't want to hear wrestling talk on this fucking podcast.
WWE acts as if they are a part of like regular daily culture, and they are not. Yeah, WrestleMania is the only thing where crossover culture really takes place. The rest of the year, people that aren't wrestling fans, celebrity, ESPN, you name it, typically don't give a shit unless something goes horribly wrong, and then they want to cover it. But they act as though WWE is everywhere in everything on a day-to-day basis. And as Evan said, I hate to burst your bubble, but it's not. And while you're believing that, you are losing WWE fans like myself or like Evan who go back decades, because you are trying to cater to everyday culture, and they could care less.
Yes.
Absolutely less. That maybe
Nailed it.
50% of them at best are going to say, "Let me know when WrestleMania comes
Nailed
around,
it.
and let me know when the celebrities are what celebrities are showing
And-
up, and maybe I'll tune in." And
let's
that's
not act
it.
like when the numbers have been coming out year after year, the WWE network, the subscriber number for WrestleMania has been that bump that they've been getting every year has been less and less, and that pirated number is just fucking soaring through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
The share accounts, the people watching it
Clone
on someone else's account, but later. It's or the fucking they sign up for that free month and then just cancel. They use a fake email account. They get their free month.
They get the free month. They bounce. Then they get another account, and they go back.
Paid subscriptions are going down.
I've done it.
All these free trial months have been going up and up. Hence why they canceled that shit. Now there's no more free. Yeah, you can watch the horror show for free. No, now you got to pay your $9.99 because there's no other way that they're making money.
Right. That's what I mean. It honestly, it pains me when like Extreme Rules comes up and I sit here and go, don't want to watch it, don't care. Yeah. Because I never say that. I didn't say that about I said I wasn't looking forward to Backlash. I still did a kickoff show. I still watched it. I still wrapped it up with Devin from Clark Street and you guys. Everybody else was, down on Money in the Bank. I watched it. I enjoyed it. But when it got to Extreme Rules and things have slid so far downhill and even the weekly shows, I'm sitting here like I have little to no interest. And this is the first time in 30 some odd years, in 20 some odd years of Raw that I've sat there and thought that or said that ever. And it's because you're trying to make yourself out to be, we're part of, regular everyday culture. You're not. You're part of my culture. You're part of Evil Evans. You're part of Top Rope Wrestling Talks culture. You're part of wrestling's culture. You're not mainstream. I know you want to be. You did not make millions being mainstream. You made millions because of people like me, because of people like Evan, because of millions of people like the guys in our group. You did not make it off of mainstream culture. You might have gotten more notice because one day Mr. T or Snoop Dogg or somebody showed the fuck up. But other than that, you made your money because of the people that are sitting here today. People like us, people in this thread watching us live, people on YouTube that are going to watch this, people who watch wrestling and watch it religiously day after day, year after year, decade after decade. Watch your promotion. So stop trying to pretend that you're something that you're not and start being what we remember you to actually be. And maybe those ratings, for once, will go up. Fair enough?
It just seems like they're not trying anymore. I get it. We're in a fucking pandemic and the box office isn't there. We're not selling tickets to every Raw, but you still have that audience that you want to tune in. So you can't just half-ass that product anymore.
Exactly. But that's exactly what they do. It's like we'll bring in the company yes man of 20-some years and let him meh his way through Raw and SmackDown. We'll have the same pay-per-view format every time, every 3 weeks, where there's 2 cinematic matches and, the same people in title matches and everything else. And we'll just phone it in until whenever this virus decides it wants to go away. And you might think that works.
They're throwing in the towel for SummerSlam already. They're not bringing no plans on trying
They've
to
already announced. They've already announced SummerSlam will not be in the TD Garden, and it's going. And the location will be announced later. I'm going to give you that location now. It's the same one for every show. The WWE Performance Center. End of friggin' whatever surprise, whatever the fuck you want to call it. It'll be the same place that WrestleMania and Money in the Bank and every other pay-per-view was, every Raw, every SmackDown, the Performance Center. The only thing you get different is NXT goes to Full Sail like they always do. That's about it.
Yeah. And SummerSlam, maybe we'll get some fucking fake palm trees where the cars were for the bash or whatever.
Yeah, but that's NXT though. They actually try. WWE
Well,
not so much, but NXT.
Triple X. NXT Triple X.
NXT Triple X. I love how they did put 30 in there. So you didn't think NXT had started like an OnlyFans account.
Nah, I'm waiting for boobies.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if she can see this, but shout out to Sunny on Lockdown. How you doing?
Yeah.
We're not only giving this away for free, but we are free. And
with the SummerSlam already being announced, most likely with a PC, California, proud to say, my home state, #1 in COVID cases. Yeah,
right.
buddy.
Followed closely by Florida.
We're locking shit up left and right. We're closing stores. So the fucking scuttlebutt is that we might not even have that SoFi Stadium open and ready for next year's Mania.
I'm really trying not to think about it, dude. I'm really trying.
Yeah, we might have another PC Mania, the big fan in the background, and
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm praying to all the wrestling gods. I'm hoping, but it doesn't look good at this point.
And then something that I was thinking about that we've kind of, a lot of people have like been overlooking because of the fucking epicness of Mania. What the hell are we gonna do for Royal Rumble when we only have 30 guys in the same building?
Right. I don't know how they're gonna pull that off unless they decide. Are they gonna decide to do something?
They film these guys this week, and kind of like alternate.
They could do. They could do something like AEW does, where they, kind of put an outdoor stadium together. Then they could use 30 guys, but otherwise, it's probably going to be a cinematic match. And if it is, I'm not going to watch.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, you saw.
I'm hoping. Let's just hope it's gone by then.
You saw how they ruined Money in the Bank with the fucking corporate lot of chasing.
Because if I have to think about that right now, I might go from like psycho to full-on mental patient.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about it.
I was just thinking about that, like SummerSlam, anything after SummerSlam, Survivor Series, like none of that is kind of all that important. But the fucking Rumble, how are we gonna not have a Royal Rumble this year?
It's a fair point. No, I agree.
Scientists out there work on some vaccines.
Yes, please. I know. I keep hearing they're trying to get some together. Please get some vaccines.
Hashtag vaccines for Rumble.
Vaccines for Rumble. Please. Pretty please.
Yeah.
No, it's a valid point. It's just not something I want to think about right now with everything.
Yeah, I'm jumping the gun, but just my mind goes.
No, I get it, dude. I get it. I feel you. You're not wrong. You're probably right. It's just not something I want to wrap my mind around just yet. It's like I'll burn that goddamn bridge when I get there. But yeah, I mean, I think on that note we can wrap this bad boy up, and I want to thank everybody that showed up in the live crowd. We always love seeing you guys and reading your comments and enjoying and hopefully the four of us will be back next week. This week just got really screwy. I already missed the other horsemen. I haven't had my balls broken. I haven't been interrupted. I haven't been yelled at. I don't feel right.
We didn't get enough honesties.
We didn't. I think I used one. I wanted to make sure I got one in there for Brucey.
That's his intellectual property. I won't touch it.
I'll tell you what, you rarely get a chance to do this because it's Brucey's thing, but do you want to give everybody our social medias before we
Yeah, let's do this. Follow us. Instagram, check us out. All our funny memes and pictures, and we're gonna start doing more lives and getting more interactive there. So give us time. But follow us on Instagram. See if I got this. Top_rope_wrestling_talk. Find us there. A lot of good stuff coming. We're new there. We're like babies. We gotta learn to crawl before we can walk and run and fucking sprinting our asses.
But Evan and I definitely put together some stuff for you on there. So
yeah. Of course, you guys know the Facebook group is there like always for you guys who are watching us on YouTube or maybe just checking out the podcast somewhere else. Follow us. Go check us out. Facebook group, public group. We're there. Your opinions matter. We want to hear from all of you, wrestling related, non-wrestling related. Fuck it, we'll let it slide sometimes. But come have a good time with us. Look for us.
Just enjoy wrestling.
Talk. Yeah, on Facebook. We're a bunch of good guys with good heads on our shoulders. Always fucking positivity there. So join us. Find us there. If you're listening to us on YouTube and you're looking at our beautiful faces, thank you. Fox Den Productions, subscribe, hit that bell, get notified. A lot of good things that come straight directly to you. You can watch them when they happen. Mutant Rejects, talking comics, talking all that nerdy stuff. Find it. Drunk Upon a Time, discussing life's mysteries and fucking the deepest, darkest.
Yeah, we really need to do that again.
Oh, while we're tipsy. So grab
have
a cold one.
We're gonna have an Evil Evan birthday bash on Drunk Upon a Time. It's
Yeah, we gotta do that one. We're gonna discuss Nietzsche and Confucius and all the fucking.
Oh yeah, trigonometry, Steiner math,
Pythagorean theorem, all the nerd stuff that I can remember. Bill Nye will make me so proud. But follow us, Fox Den Productions. Click that bell, buddy. Ring my bell, and I'll ring yours right back. But on Twitter, they're tweeting alongside the greats like Mr. Spectacular. We got Hammerstone. All the amazing wrestling talk on Twitter. The handle is at
I got you at Top Rope WT. And we also have a slew of other wrestling shows and podcasts that follow us because we're a community. We don't see it as competition. Like wrestling is for everybody. You know, just like there's our group on Facebook, there are thousands of others, and everybody does it differently, and everybody's got their 2 cents to throw in, and everybody has their own little niche. Same thing goes for shows, as far as I'm concerned. We have a bunch of them on our Twitter that you can follow, that you can listen to, subscribe to, whatever. They're all great. I recommend any damn one of them because I watch and I listen to them too. That's how Clark Street got on here. I loved them. I had to have. You know, we got Culk from our wrestling perspective because I loved his show. I had to have him. Plus, he had us in the trivia contest, and we both won prizes. So it was like, we got to get you on, dude. We got to have like an international crossover. This is going to be fun. We're fans of everyone, whether it be wrestlers, wrestling shows, whatever. There is no competition at Top Rope Wrestling Talk.
We're one big giant web just supporting everybody, supporting you guys. And because you guys are supporting us, we much love, dude. We're here every week for you guys. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Grandma Wendy, hope you get your rest. Hope you feel better. Brucey, scrubbing the salt of the earth, keeping them clean in the shower time.
And last but not least, don't forget, if you're looking for any of our merch, any of our shirts, our mugs, we're working on masks.
Be the hottest kid on the block.
Right. If you want to support us and rock your TRWT gear, we've got you covered on Facebook there too. Just search for TRWT merch. Our page is going to pop up. You can see some of the stuff that we have. Just message somebody there. Tell them what you're interested in. We have different logos you can pick from. We'll give you all the prices, the shipping. We'll set you all up. We'll make you look good. We'll give you something nice to be rocking that morning coffee with at the office, whatever. It's some great stuff. I'm going to have a bunch of it being shipped to me, in the next, I don't know how long, but in the near future. And when it comes up, you'll see me rocking the shirts. You'll see me rocking the mugs. You can even have mugs and shirts customized with your favorite host. Like you can get South Philly Sycho or Evil Evan or High Class or Grandma Wendy, whoever. It's cool. It's personal. It's personalized. It's made to order. It's great stuff. So go to TRWT merch on Facebook. Send us a message. Tell us what you're interested in. Give us sizes. Our merch maker will set you up. It's wonderful. But that's all we have for this week. And thank you again. And we will be back to you. There's really nothing going on this weekend, so we will probably see you next week unless we jump on live and decide to give Evan a birthday bash. But until then,
send more beer.
Send more beer. Yeah, I'm out of beer too. Send more beer. But until then, stay safe out there, guys. Wear a mask. Don't be a low-key. And on behalf of Graham, yes.
Wash your hands after you're done handling your meat.
Wash your hands. Have a spotter.
They didn't tell me anything this week. They tell me.
And above all else, as Grandma Wendy says, stay fresh, cheese bags.